Amara had always believed in love. She grew up watching her parents hold hands at the dinner table. She watched them dance in the kitchen when they thought no one was looking. She dreamed that one day she would find a love like that. A love that would never fade. A love that would stay warm, even on the coldest nights. And for a while, she thought she had found it. Daniel came into her life like a soft wind on a summer evening. They met at a small coffee shop near the university where she was finishing her studies. He was sitting alone by the window, reading a book that looked older than both of them. She had noticed him before, but that day, something pushed her to finally speak. She asked him about the book. He smiled, and that smile changed everything. From that moment, they became inseparable. They spent hours talking about dreams and fears and all the things they wanted from life. Daniel was quiet, but when he spoke, every word mattered. He listened like she was the only person in the world. He made her feel seen in ways no one else ever had. When he asked her to move in with him after 2 years of being together, she said yes without a second thought. She packed her bags with a heart full of hope. She imagined lazy Sunday mornings and late-night conversations. She imagined building a home with him, not just a house. And for a while, that is exactly what they had. But somewhere along the way, things started to change. It did not happen overnight. It was slow, like the way summer turns to autumn. One day the trees are full of green, and then suddenly, they are bare. Daniel got a new job at an architecture firm. It was a good opportunity, and Amara was proud of him. She supported him fully, but the job demanded more and more of his time. He started leaving early and coming home late. The dinners she made with love sat cold on the table, waiting for a man who never came on time. At first, she understood. She told herself it was temporary. She told herself he was working hard for their future. But weeks turned into months, and the silence between them grew louder. They stopped talking about their dreams. They stopped laughing together. They stopped reaching for each other in the middle of the night. Amara started to feel like a stranger in her own home. She would sit alone in the living room, waiting for the sound of his keys at the door. And when he finally came in, exhausted and distant, he barely looked at her. A quick hello, a tired sigh, and then sleep. She tried to bring it up once. She told him she missed him. She told him she felt alone, but he brushed it off, saying he was just stressed, that things would get better soon. They never did. 3 years passed like this. 3 years of waiting. 3 years of hoping. 3 years of slowly losing herself in a relationship that no longer felt like home. One rainy Thursday evening, something inside Amara finally broke. She was sitting on the bed, listening to the rain hit the window, when she realized she could not remember the last time Daniel had told her he loved her. She could not remember the last time he had held her like she mattered. She could not remember the last time she had felt happy. And that thought terrified her. She got up and walked to the closet. She pulled out an old suitcase from the back, the same one she had used when she moved in. Her hands were shaking as she opened it. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But she did not stop. She started folding her clothes one by one. Each piece felt heavier than the last. Memories flashed through her mind. The first time they danced in this room. The first time he said he loved her. The first time she believed she had found her forever. But forever had become empty. She walked to the kitchen and found a pen and a piece of paper. She sat down and began to write. The letter was short because she did not have the strength for long words. She wrote that she still loved him. She wrote that leaving was not easy. But she also wrote that she could not keep waiting for someone who had already left. She placed the letter on the counter and walked back to the bedroom. She looked around the room one last time, her heart breaking with every breath. And then, she heard the front door open. Daniel stood at the doorway, rain dripping from his coat. His eyes looked tired. the way they always did these days. But tonight, something was different. Tonight, he had come home. Early. He walked into the apartment and immediately felt something was wrong. The air was heavy. The lights were dim. And there was a silence that made his chest tighten. He saw the letter on the kitchen counter. His heart dropped before he even picked it up. He read her words slowly, each sentence hitting him like a wave. She was not angry. She was not blaming him. She was just tired. Tired of waiting. Tired of feeling invisible. Tired of loving someone who seemed to have forgotten how to love her back. And somehow, that made it worse. If she had screamed at him, he could have defended himself. If she had accused him, he could have explained. But her words were gentle, honest, and full of pain. There was no fight in them. Just surrender. He dropped the letter and rushed toward the bedroom. When he opened the door, he saw her standing by the bed, zipping up her suitcase. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her hands were trembling. She looked up at him, and for a moment, neither of them could speak. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Amara was the first to break the silence. "You were not supposed to be here," she whispered. Her voice was soft, but it cut through him like a knife. "I was not supposed to lose you either," he replied. She shook her head slowly, as if she had already made up her mind. "Daniel, please, do not make this harder than it already is." But he could not move. He could not let her walk out that door without at least trying. "Amara, I know I have not been the man you needed. I know I let you down. But please, just hear me out. That is all I am asking." She looked at him with tired eyes. Eyes that had cried too many tears. Eyes that had waited too many nights. "What is left to say?" she asked. "I have been waiting for you for 3 years, Daniel. Not just for you to come home, but for you to actually be here. And you never were. I kept hoping things would change. I kept telling myself you loved me. But love is not supposed to feel this lonely." Her words hung in the air, and Daniel felt the weight of every single one. He took a step closer. "You are right. You are completely right. And I have no excuse for what I did. I got so caught up in work, in trying to build something, that I forgot what I was building it for. I forgot that none of it matters without you." Amara looked away. Her grip on the suitcase tightened. "I am not asking you to forgive me tonight," Daniel continued. "I am not asking you to forget everything. I just need you to know that losing you is not something I can accept. Not without a fight." She turned back to him, her voice breaking. "Why now, Daniel? Why did it take me packing my bags for you to finally see me?" He had no answer for that. And maybe that was the hardest part. He moved closer, slowly, carefully, like she might disappear if he moved too fast. "Because I was a fool," he said quietly. "Because I took you for granted. Because I thought you would always be here, no matter how much I messed up. And I was wrong. I was so wrong." Tears spilled down her cheeks again, but she did not wipe them away. "I do not know if I can do this anymore," she whispered. Daniel reached out and gently took her hand. She did not pull away. "You do not have to give anything right now," he said. "Just stay. Just for tonight. Let me show you that I am willing to fight for us." She looked into his eyes, searching for something. Maybe the man she fell in love with. Maybe a reason to believe again. And in that moment, standing in the middle of their quiet room, with rain falling outside and pain falling inside, she did not know what to do. Her mind told her to leave, but her heart was not ready to let go. The rain outside had grown heavier, and the sound of it filled the silence between them. Amara stood frozen, her hand still resting in Daniel's. She wanted to pull away. She wanted to grab her suitcase and walk out the door, but something held her in place. Maybe it was the look in his eyes. a look she had not seen in a long time. He was not just tired tonight. He was broken. "Can we talk?" Daniel asked softly. "Just talk." "I will not stop you. I promise." Amara hesitated. Every part of her screamed that talking would only make this harder. But another part, the part that still remembered the man she fell in love with, wanted to hear what he had to say. She let go of the suitcase and sat down on the edge of the bed. Daniel sat across from her, keeping a small distance. He looked down at his hands like he was trying to find the right words. And when he finally spoke, his voice was quieter than she had ever heard. "I do not know when I started losing myself," he began. "When I got that job, I thought it was the best thing that could happen to us. I thought if I worked hard enough, I could give you everything you deserved. A better home. A better life. A future we could be proud of." He paused, swallowing hard. "But somewhere along the way, I forgot why I was doing any of it. I forgot that you were not waiting for a big house or a fancy life. You were just waiting for me. And I was never there." Amara listened without interrupting. Her heart ached with every word he spoke. "I thought I was being strong," Daniel continued. "I thought if I pushed through, everything would be fine. But the truth is, I was scared. Scared of failing. Scared of not being enough. And instead of telling you, I shut you out. I thought keeping quiet was easier. I did not realize I was hurting you with my silence." Tears welled up in Amara's eyes again. She had waited so long for him to say these things. And now that he was finally saying them, she did not know how to feel. "Why did you never tell me?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Why did you carry all of that alone? I was right here. Daniel, I would have understood." He looked up at her, his eyes filled with regret. "Because I did not want you to see me as weak. I wanted to be the man who could handle everything. But in trying to be that man, I became a stranger to you. And that is something I will never forgive myself for." The tears finally fell from Amara's eyes. She wiped them quickly, but more kept coming. "Do you know how many nights I cried in that bathroom?" she whispered. "I did not want you to hear. So I turned on the water and cried alone. I felt so invisible, Daniel. Like I did not matter anymore. Like our love had just faded away, and there was nothing I could do to bring it back." Daniel's face crumbled. He reached out and gently wiped a tear from her cheek. "You mattered," he said. "You always mattered." They sat in silence for a long moment, letting the weight of their words settle around them. The room felt different now. Not lighter exactly, but more honest. Like something buried deep had finally been brought to the surface. "I do not know how to fix this," Amara admitted. "I do not even know if it can be fixed. We have spent so long, hurting, in silence. How do we come back from that?" Daniel moved a little closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "I do not have all the answers," he said. "But I know I do not want to live without you. I know that when I read your letter tonight, I felt like my whole world was ending. And I know that if you walk out that door, I will spend the rest of my life regretting that I did not fight harder." His words were raw, unpolished, and completely real. There was no pretending anymore. No walls. Just two broken people trying to find their way back to each other. Amara looked at him. Really looked at him. For the first time in months. She saw the man she had fallen in love with in that little coffee shop. The man who made her believe in forever. He was still there, buried under layers of stress and silence and fear. And maybe, just maybe, that man was worth fighting for. "I am scared," she whispered. "I am scared of staying and getting hurt again. I am scared that nothing will change." Daniel nodded slowly. "I am scared too, but I am more scared of losing you. And I promise, Amara, I promise I will do whatever it takes." She did not say yes. She did not say no. But for the first time that night, she stopped reaching for her suitcase. The silence that followed was not uncomfortable. It was heavy, yes, but it was the kind of heaviness that comes when something important is happening. Like the world was holding still, waiting to see what Amara would do next. She stood up slowly and walked toward the window. The rain had not stopped. The city outside looked blurry through the glass. Like a painting someone had smudged. She pressed her hand against the cold surface and closed her eyes. Her mind was at war with her heart. She had spent 3 years feeling alone. 3 years holding on to hope that kept slipping through her fingers. And now, just when she had finally found the strength to leave, Daniel was asking her to stay. Was this enough? Were words enough to undo all the damage? She heard him get up behind her. She felt him move closer, but he did not touch her. He just stood there, waiting. I used to imagine our future, Amara said quietly, her eyes still on the rain. I used to think about the home we would build, the children we might have someday, the way we would grow old together and still laugh at each other's silly jokes. Her voice trembled as she continued. But somewhere along the way, I stopped imagining. I stopped hoping. Because every time I reached out, you were not there. And I got tired. Daniel. I got so tired of being the only one holding on. Daniel stepped closer. His voice was low and filled with pain. I never stopped loving you, Amara. Not for a single day. I know my actions did not show it. I know I failed you in ways I can never fully make up for. But my love for you never went away. It was always there, buried under all my fear and foolishness. She turned to face him, her eyes searching his. Then, why did it feel like I was loving a ghost? Why did it feel like you had already left, even when you were standing right in front of me? Crossed. Crossed. He had no defense. He could only stand there and accept the weight of her truth. I was wrong, he said simply. I was completely and utterly wrong. And I am not asking you to forget that. I am only asking for a chance to make it right. Amara shook her head, tears streaming down her face. How? How do you make something like this right? Daniel took a breath. He stepped closer until he was standing right in front of her. By showing up. Every single day. By being present, even when life gets hard. By talking to you instead of shutting down. By putting us first, the way I should have from the beginning. He reached out and gently took her hands in his. I cannot change the past. I cannot take back the nights you cried alone. But I can change our future. I can be the man you fell in love with. I can be better. Please, Amara. Let me try. Thanks for watching. And see you, S. Let me try. She looked into his eyes and saw something she had not seen in a long time. She saw sincerity. She saw fear. But most of all, she saw love. Not the kind of love that hides behind silence, but the kind that breaks open and shows itself, even when it is messy and imperfect. Her grip on his hands tightened. I want to believe you, she whispered. I want to believe that things can be different. But I am so scared of being hurt again. Thanks for watching. I want to believe that things can be different. Daniel pulled her closer, slowly wrapping his arms around her. He did not hold her tightly. He held her gently, like she was the most precious thing in the world. And in that moment, something inside her began to soften. She felt his heartbeat against her chest, fast and desperate. She felt the warmth of his arms around her, not trapping her, but reminding her of what they once had. Her mind told her to be careful. Her mind told her to protect herself. But her heart whispered something different. Stay. She did not pull away. That night, they did not fix everything. They both knew that was impossible. Years of silence and distance could not be erased in a single conversation. But something had shifted. Something small, but important. For the first time in a long time, they had been honest with each other. Not careful, not polite, Just honest. They sat together on the bed, not saying much, just being present. Amara's suitcase remained by the door, still packed, still waiting. But she was no longer in a hurry to leave. "I need time," she said finally. "I cannot promise that everything will be okay. I cannot promise I will not have doubts. But I am willing to try. That is all I can give you right now." Daniel nodded, his eyes full of gratitude. "That is more than enough. I do not expect miracles. I just want a chance." And so began the slow, quiet work of rebuilding. The next morning, Daniel did something he had not done in years. He made her breakfast. It was not fancy, just eggs and toast and a cup of coffee made just the way she liked it. But when he placed it in front of her, Amara felt something warm spread through her chest. It was a small thing. But sometimes, love is made up of small things. He started coming home earlier. Not every night, but more than before. He put his phone away during dinner. He asked her about her day, and actually listened to the answer. He started noticing the little things again, like when she was tired or when she needed a hug without asking. And Amara began to open up too. She stopped hiding her pain. She told him when she felt lonely. She told him when she needed more from him. And instead of pulling away, Daniel leaned in. He listened. He apologized when he needed to. He changed when he needed to. It was not easy. Some nights, the old doubts crept back in. Some nights, Amara looked at her suitcase and wondered if she had made a mistake. Some nights, Daniel struggled to break old habits. But they kept trying. They kept choosing each other. Weeks turned into months. And slowly, the coldness between them began to thaw. They started going on walks together in the evening. They started cooking together on weekends. They started laughing again. Really laughing the way they used to. One night, while they were sitting on the couch watching a movie, Daniel turned to her. "Do you remember the day we met?" he asked. Amara smiled. "Of course. You were reading that old book by the window. I thought you looked so serious." He laughed softly. "I was nervous. I had noticed you before, but I was too scared to talk to you. And then you just walked up and started a conversation, like it was nothing." "I guess I was braver back then," she said. Daniel shook his head. "No, you are braver now. Leaving would have been easy. Staying took real courage." She looked at him, her eyes soft. "We both had to be brave," she said. He reached over and took her hand. They sat like that, hand in hand, watching the movie but not really paying attention. Months later, Amara found the letter she had written that rainy night. It was tucked away in a drawer, forgotten but not gone. She read it slowly, remembering the pain she felt when she wrote those words, remembering how close she had come to walking away forever. She folded the letter carefully, then tore it into small pieces. She did not need it anymore. She had wanted to leave that night. Every part of her mind had told her to go, but something stronger had kept her there. His arms, his words, his willingness to fight. And staying had become the bravest thing she ever did. Not because the road was easy, but because they walked it together. And in the end, that made all the difference. The end.